What's going on, guys? Back at again with Brad Ellison. Okay, so if you haven't listened to Brad's first podcast with me, that was about a year ago. He was working for a painting contractor in Michigan. He was the top salesperson there. And as of recently, within the last 3 months or so, Brad decided to break off, start his own painting business empire. Interesting about Brad, he is taking a collective of information from all of our industry leaders and implementing the things that they say work into his business. So simple. And that is why I'm almost making this a mini series on here because really, the big difference between what he's doing and the success that he's getting and some of the issues that I hear over and over again is that he's taking action. He is putting things into practice in the way that he's told to put them into practice, and he's getting a result, and he's going to continue to get better and better. So awesome episode with my good friend Brad. I think you'll really, really like hearing his story, not only his story, but following along on his journey. There was another one we did probably about 4 to 5 weeks ago. So scroll back into the podcast if you haven't listened to that one. And that's about when he was first starting out. So now we're at a place where he has been selling jobs, producing jobs, and yielding results. So check this one out, and it starts right now. Contractors all over the world are wanting more time, more freedom, more impact. The way we do this is through implementing systems, processes, standards. Welcome to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. Here we hit business strategy, coaching, mindset, motivation, the tools you need for success. So strap in, listen up, and get ready to grow on the Contractor Secrets Podcast. We are live. What's going on, everyone? I'm back with B-Rad Ellison from Ellison Painting, the newest, hottest looking brand in the painting industry, man. If you don't know Brad, he is my co-admin of the largest painting contractor forum in the United States and beyond. Also, good friend, Dripjobs user, which is his highest credential in my book, and and just a great all-around guy. So. We've kind of created a little mini series here on my podcast about Brad's journey and kind of give a quick recap. I highly suggest if you haven't done so, listen to his last episode. Really just gives you some of his thought process. I bet you would kind of even enjoy listening to that, Brad, of kind of like where you were at, like in that time. It's going to be cool to go back and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about, where you are now in terms of the growth from the, maybe like 6 to 8 weeks ago, maybe like just kind of fumbled around trying to find subs. And you kind of just told me that it's a pretty easy thing now. It's just a matter of finding the right ones and tuning up the process. So take it away, man.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks again for having me. This is one of my favorite things to do. I'm always happy to carve out some time in my very, very busy schedule to hook up with you. You are an infinite resource of wisdom and knowledge, and you take criticism well and you give criticism well. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So last time we talked, that was 4 weeks ago, which means that really I was only 2.5 or 3 weeks into starting my new business. We were working on getting marketing activities up and running. I don't think I had any running at that point. I can't recall exactly when we started with.
It was kind of just the startup. You had a couple guys getting ready and building.
I know we had a couple jobs in the works. We had a lot of kind of word of mouth going around. People were excited to that we had started our own company, and so they were hiring us. That was awesome. So since then, we have two of our 3 marketing activities are up and running and generating leads. My primary responsibility now is twofold. About 80 to 85% of my time is spent actually doing estimates, and the other 15% of my time has been spent in recruiting sub crews. So for anyone that didn't listen to the last one or doesn't know anything about me, because I'm not a painter, we only use subcontractors to actually service our customers. So we are looking for subcontractors. So since then, I mean, we're 7 weeks from the time that we accepted my first job. We sold $235,000 worth of new projects. I think we've completed about 65,000. It started out slow. We had one guy that had committed to working with us that I'd worked with a few years ago. he came out and he kind of big promises. Hey, if I come on board, I'm going to have like 12 painters to work with me. Well, for the first 3 or 4 weeks, he had one painter, and sometimes he would show up to help
Talk the
him
big
out.
game.
Yeah, yeah. Which great guy. We love him.
What is your
he's
process for like when they start their first job? That's interesting to me. Like you get this guy, talks good game, you
Mhm,
assign him work. Do you
mhm.
go there personally and kind of like check out the scene, or what's going on?
I don't. This one is a little unique because we knew him so well from working with him previously. He had kind of left the painting industry. He went to go get his pilot's license, actually, moved to California, moved down to Florida, and then came back to Michigan this year because he wanted to pay off some debt, wanted to make a bunch of money in painting. And so he came back, and when he found out that I'd left Somerset, instead of approaching them, he approached us and said, "Hey, if I get some crews, can I work with you?" So we said, "Yes, of course," right? That's a little unique because we already had an established relationship with him. We believed everything he said, is that in that he would have a bunch of painters ready to go. Didn't work out that way. But he has come through now. Now he's got like 15 painters now. He's on
Great.
3 projects of ours right like
Wow.
today. He's got 3 crews working. Um, but to answer your question anyway, so when I interview a subcontractor crew, the first step is a one-on-one meeting with me. And that is, I set a date and I set a time. It's usually 2 to 3 days at least in the future. Um, and I show up. I show up and see if they show up. I try not to remind them. I try not to send a text saying, "Hey, are we still on for noon?" Hopefully they'll do that. I like when they do that. They want to confirm that I'll be there, and of course I will. But that's step one: is are they going to show up on time? Are they going to show up at all for our meeting? During that meeting, it's pretty casual. I give them some time to tell me about themselves. I ask some probing questions about their abilities, size of their crew, what type of work are they good at, what type of work do they want to do. The most important question I ask is, have you ever worked for other contractors before as a sub? What
Good
did you
question.
like about it, and what didn't you like about it? Uh, what they like about it, not shockingly, is that they don't have to do any sales. They don't have to spend any money in marketing, right? Guess what they don't like about it?
Being managed.
I would say that's number two. The number one thing, more important than that, and you have never subcontracted work, so you wouldn't know,
I
and
wouldn't
you
know
don't
this.
not getting paid.
Oh yeah. All right.
They don't get paid, or if
Yeah.
they get
Okay.
if they get paid, they're waiting on a
Yeah.
$3,000 or $4,000 check for 45 days. Well,
That's
most of these
crazy.
guys don't have a bunch of money in the bank, and so they get burned regularly
Yeah.
by contractors who say, "Yes, you're going to
The
get paid as soon
contractors
as the
are
job's done."
waiting to get paid, and then yeah. Right.
So they're waiting and waiting and waiting. So I love that. I just interviewed a possible crew today, and that was that was it. Right? It helps me and it hurts me. It helps me in that all I have to do is follow through on my word and do the things that I say I'm going to do, and I have undying loyalty.
Where are you finding the crews?
Well, a lot of my crews I'm finding through our Facebook group, bro.
Love it.
Yep. You know what I do? My wife was laughing at me. I added Rachel to our Facebook group, so now she's seeing like all these crazy
Oh,
threads.
she needs some help with mod.
No, no. Do not give her more responsibilities. She would kill me. Um, but she laughs because there's been a couple times, as you know, that I will post something that I'm looking for
Yeah.
subcontractors,
Smart.
and for some reason I don't get a lot of response. I get maybe one or two. But anytime I see someone else say that they're looking for subcontractors in Metro Detroit,
Yeah.
I chime in and I respond to every single person that's responded.
Love that.
So she's like, "You're just going in and like poaching all these guys." I said, "No, no, no. They're
No.
saying they're looking for sub work. I'm saying I'm looking for subs.
Yeah.
And if the original
That's what it's for.
poster is not going to reach out, then I'm going to do it."
Use it.
Right?
Use your resources. I love that. That's a
Right.
huge trait of what's getting you to this point is just the resourcefulness. And we said this on the last one. It's like,
Yeah.
you're incredibly resourceful when it comes to marketing. Sales, you've mastered, in my opinion. And then if you want to go back to Brad's first podcast with us way back when he was working for his other employer, you learn a little bit about the sales process. But the production side, again, is something that you were so unfamiliar with, not just in sense like you've seen it done. It was never your 100% responsibility to recruit these subs. Maybe it
Mm-hmm.
was on a passive way, but just it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really on your shoulders. Now it is, and you kind of took it and you used an approach that you haven't seen before other than what you see in our group, which is people asking and connecting. And that's all this is, connecting
Right.
with like-minded business owners. And you could do a little back-end research on their Facebook profile, I'm sure, to see,
For
you
sure.
know, you
And
might as
quite
well.
frankly, in the Facebook group, it helps that they see admin next to my name.
Yeah.
They see group expert,
Yeah.
and but I feel like
Like,
I
yo, you don't do a good
earned those
job. You're
titles.
getting booted.
Yeah, right. No, not that.
I have a question though. I don't want to go too far into this because I don't want you to
Oh,
lose
go ahead.
what you said earlier. Okay, so I usually, when I do my business breakthroughs, when I do a lot of coaching, I'm usually giving them one marketing channel to start with. Usually that's because it's a lack of funds, or it's just about like getting them into the groove of actually picking something and buying leads or spending money on marketing, which is uncomfortable for a lot of people. You did something different. You found 3 different marketers that do 3 different things, and you went all in. You just spent the money. All right, you didn't even think about it, right? So you said you got some results. It's important that you understand that we're not going to name names. We just are going to name entities, because I don't want to bash anyone if they didn't get you the results that you were promised. What were the results? Which one is giving you, tell us the marketing channels, tell us which results are yielding you the most return. And lastly, what do you plan to reinvest in, and what do you plan to stop, if anything?
Okay. So the first marketing activity, first lead generator that was up and running was the social media marketing. So that's primarily Facebook leads, running Facebook ads, capturing the information, and then funneling them through Dripjobs. That was the one that was launched first, getting a lot of leads from them. Closing rate is not as great as I would like. But the volume of leads was really important for me, especially as I was rolling. The second lead activity that launched was my door hanger campaign, and
Okay.
I do not pretend to be an expert. Literally, all I did is have Jason Paris send me his door hanger design. I got his
Okay.
permission, and I virtually copied it. Like, where there's a picture of him, there's a picture of my family. Where there's his bio, it's my bio. Where there's a before and after, we have before and afters that we also stole from another painter with permission. Door hangers went out on started going out on a Friday afternoon, and within 6 days, I had sold $30,000 in jobs from those door hangers alone.
Nice.
The door hangers has been by far the best response and most profitable. The closing rate is high. Because of the way that it's designed, it's building rapport right away. They see the picture of my family, so we have something to talk about there. It says, Brad grew up in Royal Oak, and now he lives in Oakland Township. So there's about a 30-minute drive between the two. So someone has a connection to one of those areas. It says, Brad and Rachel are active in their church community. So it's, oh, what church do you go to? There's certain things written into the flyer to generate some conversation and some rapport right away. So
Trust.
when I get out there, people want to hire me. They're hoping that I live up to what is presented in the door hanger. The third marketing activity is our website, so that's plus SEO plus PPC. The website was launched pretty quickly. SEO, as you know, takes a long time to really get any results. So I'm not expecting any results from SEO. The PPC campaign has been slow to get off the ground. I had a conversation with my vendor yesterday. Literally no leads from PPC yet. That's okay for now. I said the expectation yesterday that there has to be leads generated. Otherwise, it's not something I'm going to continue doing. Right. So
do you think it's because the PPC is flooded in your area? Like, what do you think the issue is? Have you looked up your own ad to see what the copy look like? What kind of like feed, like, what do you think the reason is? Because that's a little odd, because typically PPC should be yielding pretty good results. Or do you think the market is just so, saturated with like information on that first Google page that it's not as good as we think it?
I don't think it's that, because at my last company, we were getting really great results from our
But
PPC.
how many reviews did your last company have?
Well, a lot more, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. I'm not an expert at PPC. I think I'm pretty darn good at coming up with messaging and delivering that message. But I really don't understand the mechanics of PPC, which is why I hire someone else to do it. There was a couple hiccups where my Google account was flagged for suspicious payment activity.
Okay.
So then it was suspended, and then they had to get it reinstated, and then it was suspended again, and it get reinstated. So really, the PPC campaign's only been going for a few days. I mean, I can pull it up right now and see like how many impressions and clicks and whatever.
Yeah,
But
so you're gonna see it through for the month, I'm sure, and kinda just gauge
mm-hmm.
whether or not. So
Yeah.
interesting. So the door hangers, and people don't really know this about like mailers and hangers and stuff. It's almost like obviously it's a boots on the ground drip campaign. Like in
Mm-hmm.
other words, like people think if you send them out one time, you're just gonna yield results. That's like sending out a mass email and like hoping that people keep going back to that email from like 3 weeks ago. Like it doesn't
Right.
happen, right? You have to keep hitting it, hitting it, hitting it. Now, tell me your strategy for that. So you got a big
Mm-hmm.
wave on the first wave of those door hangers. It
Mm-hmm.
tapered off, I'm sure, probably like
Mm-hmm.
after like 2 weeks, right? You stop
Yeah.
getting phone calls from it. What's next? Like, is there like another round of it that it's going to be going out, or how does that work?
This will be a continuous wave,
Good. Okay.
unending
So
round. So
how often?
yeah. So what we did is I met with my distribution company, and we started to identify areas, neighborhoods, zip codes based on median household income or house price, or they're the experts, whatever they said was the best way to narrow it down. But you can geographically choose those areas. And then we decided to send out 12,000 door hangers in the first batch. So within that first week, 12,000 went out. The next 8,000 are starting to go out, hypothetically today or tomorrow. And then after that 8,000 goes out, the idea is 5,000 a week, every week, in perpetuity. So we're going kind of area by area. We started at the south end of my territory, and we hit all of Royal Oak, and then we're going to hit Berkeley, and then we're going to hit Troy, and then we're going to hit Rochester. So it's going to move geographically. So ideally, this week, the week that the Rochester mailers or the door hangers go out, I'll be doing a lot of estimates for the next couple of weeks just in Rochester, and not driving around too much. But it's going to be on a 3 or 4 month cycle. So after 3 or 4 months, we start back in the first territory,
Oh,
first
that's cool.
geographical area, and then just not never
How do you
ending
feel
cycle.
like the Facebook leads are working out for you? Like, what do you? I mean, give me the like consensus. Are they harder to close? Are they a little less committed? Are they a little more sticker shocks? Like, what is that looking like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it is a price objection, right? And you can tell me that I didn't build enough value into my presentation as I go, sure. But I think it's undeniable the quality of leads, not necessarily quality. It's just very different
Different.
type
Yeah.
of leads. And when I'm doing the door hangers, I am specifying exact neighborhoods that I want to hit. Well, with
Yeah.
Facebook, you're doing, we're a little more
A
lenient. So
radius. Yeah.
we're going and doing estimates in cities that maybe wouldn't be our ideal demographic, but we're still, I can do the estimates, and we're still
Yeah.
selling jobs. It's still profitable. Don't get me wrong. If it wasn't profitable, I wouldn't continue to do it. But what I committed for that is 3 months. 3 months social media campaign. I wasn't a social media believer before, but the person that I hired, I believe in. And so I told him, I said, 3 months, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to follow all of your systems. I'm going to take all your advice. And then at the end of 3 months, if it's not as profitable as other lead generation activities in which I could spend more money, then I'm going to start diverting funds.
Fair enough. That's a good
Yeah.
deal. You were my only comrade when it came to Home Advisor. You and I both used it very much.
Mm-hmm.
We both jump on the posts where
Mm-hmm.
everybody talks about how much they hate them.
Yeah.
I haven't heard you talk about them. Obviously, they're
Mm-hmm.
Angie now. Interesting, because that was something that you claimed to be one of your white knights in shining armor when it came to bringing you good leads, and it was a matter of how much you spend with them and how well you nurture them. And you and I both know the
Mm-hmm.
game. How come?
So, well, you know that the value of those leads increases exponentially as you have more reviews on those platforms. The reason why they were so valuable at my last company was because on Angie leads, or Angie ads, we had something like 1,200 5-star reviews, or A reviews, however they rate it. So when I was going out to do an estimate that where the lead came from that source, they were just looking for a reason not to hire us, right? It was relatively easy. Well, right now I have 0 leads on Home Advisor. I have 0 leads on Angie's List. I'm just like everyone else, right? But those tools are super valuable. It can be used highly effectively when you are trying to scale. So one of the things I told our friend Skylar Stewart, as he was talking about scaling and maybe potentially using those sources, was before you need those sources, you need to get reviews on those sources. So that's going to be part of our strategy is while we are investing in door hangers and social media and Google and selling jobs and completing jobs, I will be pursuing reviews on those sites, even if we didn't get the leads from those, right? So that once I'm to the point where I need them, I'll have enough reviews that they're
Sure.
actually quite valuable, right? Does
Sure.
that make sense?
It does.
So,
It really does. It's important.
yep. And my last company, when I with my partner, I don't think he would have done a door hanger campaign. He didn't think that they would work. He didn't want to invest in social media because he didn't think it would work. And so now I get to make all the decisions, and so I'm doing it, right? And I may be wrong, and the social media may not end up being a long term strategy for us when it comes to marketing. For now, it's working, and I'm
Yeah.
going to keep doing it until it's not working.
Love it. Love it. I mean, yeah, the mindset is that it's like stocks. I always say this. It's like diversify, right? You never know. And it's interesting. Like sometimes Facebook will kick off, sometimes Google will kick off, sometimes third party lead will kick off, and then you have your door hangers. And it's like you're never in a position where there's not something coming in, which I love. We got a question here. I'm currently doing smaller jobs from 1-bedroom paint job to 4 to 5 rooms. What can I do to land bigger leads and get myself out of doing just the small jobs? What do you think, Brad?
Well, I guess one question is where are the jobs coming from,
Right.
right? I know a lot of smaller companies rely strictly on word of mouth. Well, if you paint 1 bedroom for Janet, then she's going to refer you to her sister Karen, who then needs one bedroom, right? And you're going to be going 1 bedroom at a time.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in actually spending money on marketing to reach the people that you want to reach. And some people don't have the money to invest in marketing activities. I understand. But also, I mean, what can I do to land bigger leads? I don't know. Do your own door hanger campaign.
Yeah, I think it is like learning how to say no, because part of what I see is like, if you say yes to these jobs, it's only gonna, and especially if he's still painting, like he's gonna be entrenched in that job when he could be looking for the right job, and unfortunately, like people who want bigger jobs, some of the leverage we use is urgency. Also, bigger jobs sometimes require bigger teams. Typically, I'll come into a house, they want a full house repaint. I'll say, hey, we're coming with 4 guys. Ultimately, like if you're just a one-man team and you're bidding against us, I'm going to say, look, we're going to have it done in 4 to 5 days. It might take you 2 to 3 weeks. So I think it has a lot to do with your production. But then again, when it comes as a business owner, my advice is you shouldn't be painting. Would you agree there, Brett?
Yeah, obviously I don't. I don't.
It's almost good. It's it's funny. You don't paint. You don't know how to paint, right?
Right.
Which you happily claim, which is fine. It's pretty cool. I'm allergic to paint, so I mean these hindrances that we have actually propel us to be in a position where we can actually scale a business, which is so important. That's why I'm bringing Brad on here, because it's so important to hear how he doesn't have any limiting beliefs. He just found people that are doing things the way that what's working for them, and then implemented them in his own business, and he's killing it. I had another question up here that I wanted to get to. Are the subs bidding the jobs prior to taking the job? So in other words, like probably curious about how pricing works. That's a big question even for myself.
Yeah. So the answer to that is no. The way that we work is I go out and I do the estimate. I sell the job for whatever price I agree to with the customer. Once a job is accepted, then I set a labor price, basically the amount that I'm willing to pay to a crew to complete the job. When I send the work order, so my work order is highly detailed. I mean, obviously you can get into my Dripjobs campaign and see what they look like. You have seen them.
Yes.
So they're highly detailed. So there's no question on what is involved and what's expected of the crew. And then I also send them a link to my company cam where there's pictures and videos of the job site. So they're going to have the work order, they're going to have the pictures and videos, and they're going to have the dollar amount that I am willing to pay on it. The crew is free to take the job. They're free to not take the job.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to take it, that's okay. I'll see if there's another one available.
That is a proper subcontractor setup, by the way. Not somebody that works for you every day, has no choice, and you just decide to pay them cash. Okay.
Yes.
That is how it's done. They have the flexibility to choose. Go ahead, Brad. I just want to make sure we get that point.
Yep. So they what I found is the first couple jobs, you got to make sure you give them like a, quote unquote good job, meaning just basically just a big enough job where if it takes a little bit longer, they're still going to make money, right?
Right.
Once they're one or two jobs in, they seem to stop questioning how much the job pays. They know that it's going to be profitable. They know they're going to make the kind of money they want to make. Essentially, they don't even look over the work orders or the pictures anymore. If I send them a job, most of them then will just take it. Now, in the situations where I make a mistake, which happens, of course, because I'm human, if I underbid it or I miss it or there's some external factor, the customer's being a pain in the butt and it's just going to take an extra few days, and that profitability for the crew is going to diminish. The crews are fully aware that at any time they can approach me and say, hey man, can I get a little extra on this job? And when they ask that, almost 100% of the time, as long as they have an actual good justification for it, the answer is going to
Wait,
be
they're
of
in this
course.
group, Brad. Hold on, make sure. You're about to say something. No,
uh, yeah, of course, because the only way that I can grow my business is if I have loyal crews that trust me and are making money.
Yeah.
And so if I make a mistake, they shouldn't eat it. I need to
Yeah.
eat it, and it's on me. Or if the customer's being a pain in the ass, that's also on me because I was the one that met the customer. They didn't meet the customer. They just accepted the
Right.
job. They didn't know going into it. So there will be from time to time situations where I need to pay the crew more, and I'm totally flexible to do that. But again, most of the time, once a crew has been working with me for a while, if one job's not that profitable, they're not going to complain about it because they know the next one I knocked it out of the park. So it
Yeah.
all works out in the long run.
You
But
want
they're
it to
free to
be
ask.
like you want to create this sort of environment. Like it's almost like, oh, nice, Brad sent me a job opportunity. You know,
Hmm.
like
Of
I
course.
think that's kind of, yeah, that's like what you want because they have options, right? I mean, and essentially, like, typically, like you said, you identify what they don't like, which is typically
Hmm.
they don't get paid on time. You advertise that is one of your gold star principles is to pay as
Hmm.
soon as the job is done and to the standard of
Hmm.
which it needs to be done, and that sets you apart. You see it all the time. How can I find some contractors? How can I find employees? It's like, be better
Hmm.
than the other people, right?
Right.
There's great people out there that want to work for great people.
What Rachel and I say is we want it to be so easy to subcontract work from Ellison Painting that they wouldn't even consider trying to find other contractors or even consider trying to sell their own jobs. Because why would they?
Yeah.
They can take
Yeah.
my job, make more money subbing for me than if they were selling on their own, and they don't have to do anything else. They don't have to call the
That's it.
customer. They don't have to schedule. They don't got to
Show
buy
up
the
and
paint.
yeah, that's it. Show
Show
up and
up,
do what you
paint.
do best.
Yep.
Yeah. So last part of this. All right. So we've hit a little bit of what's going on in production. We've hit
Mhm.
some of the sales numbers that you're doing. We've hit some of the marketing. In terms of kind of, what's next for you. I mean, now you're on a pretty good trajectory. How do you plan to kind of like refine some of the systems that are going on? I mean, I'm sure, there's, things are kind of all over the place still. You're just kind of like getting it all together. Like, what's next? How do you refine this? Do you plan on bringing in another salesperson because you
Mhm.
might hit a capacity soon? Take us on the next level of what that's looking like for you.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, we were kind of freaking out that we didn't know if we were going to have enough subs to complete the work that we were selling.
Right.
And now we've just been so blessed. Crews are coming out of the woodworks. The crews that started with us are like, oh my gosh, we like this, and so they're like, if
Yeah.
I bring another crew on to work with me, can
Wow.
like, yes, of course, let's do that. And now I'm like looking at my sales numbers. I'm like, I need to sell more jobs, and I don't want to do that, of course, by lowering my pricing. So I need to increase my marketing activity, and hopefully, once the Google ads actually kick in,
Because you want to keep the good subs, and in order to keep the good subs, you got to make
you
sure the
gotta
good
keep them
subs
busy,
have
man.
work.
Yeah,
Right.
you basically have one chance to win the loyalty of these
Right.
guys. And
Yeah.
if I tell a crew, yeah, come on board and we're gonna get you as much work as you want, and then they finish the first job and they say, all right, we're ready for the next one, and I say, oh, well, you know what? Oh, I don't have anything lined up right now. Then you know what? I'm exactly like every other contractor they've ever worked for, and they're
I mean,
gone.
you take it to heart just like I do with my employees. I mean, it's the same. It's the same. It's just ultimately like you want great employees, you better provide a full schedule for great
Yep.
employees.
Yep.
And it's like if you're okay, if you can honestly sit there and say, "Oh man, we don't have any work tomorrow," and you sit with that and you're okay with
Hmm.
that, and you can rest easy at night, knowing that like, hey, you know what, they don't have a job for tomorrow, but like you're good
Hmm.
as a business owner, then you're not going to be very successful.
No. So I need the Google AdWords to really be generating some more leads. If so, I can increase my capacity of the number of estimates I do each day. In the past, I've done, 6, 7, 8 estimates a day. Doing the math, I could probably do 10 or 11 estimates a day. And if I'm closing at if I just keep numbers, status quo as far as closing rates and average job size, if I'm doing 10 or 11 estimates a day, that's enough. Now, do I want to do 10 or 11 estimates a day?
Hmm.
The answer to that is no. So we may consider bringing on a second salesperson, though. I mean, it's already June 8th. Do I
Yeah.
bring on another salesperson to sell for the next 3 months, and then it
Right.
slows down, and now I'm
Are
obligated
you
to a
planning
sales guy?
for are you planning on doing interiors, or like what does
Of
that look like?
course.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And we'll switch once we get close to filling up for exterior season, then we'll switch all of our marketing dollars to interior painting. But the truth of the matter is, in Michigan, there's just less work to go around. It becomes way more price sensitive. Um, so the margins are lower.
Right.
It becomes a lot more difficult. So bringing on a sales guy now is, for me, is a commitment that I'm keeping him on for the long term, right? Through
Yeah.
the winter, even when I'm paying him even if we're not making any money. So the question is, can I just hunker down and really, really work hard myself this year, do all the estimates myself? I know I'm a proven commodity when it comes to the estimates and my sales numbers. Can I keep the guys busy enough through this year and then really kick it into high gear next year, bringing on another sales guy or two?
Or two.
Yeah,
Yeah. I love
sometime.
it.
Yeah.
Sales and marketing customer service company that just so happens to paint.
It's true.
I love it, man. Last thing I want to hit on before we head out,
Mm.
limiting beliefs, man. A lot of the people that I serve that you'll probably find that reach out to you after hearing this podcast, or maybe some have done
Mhm.
so already, they're at
Mhm.
the same place that you were 6 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And now you're at a position where you've sold over $200,000 in business. You have subs out the wazoo. You're on
Mhm.
a high momentum. And it was almost like that was a blip in your business journey. It wasn't something that you even reference as a place of pain,
Mhm.
and I have a vast majority, 90% of the people that I interact with on a daily basis live there where
Mhm.
you were. What's the difference?
Um, so I think there's a combination of things that are going to allow me to be successful if I'm able to be successful long term. The first is I think I have a particular skill set, right? Um, I am I have a business degree, which my degree doesn't, whatever. The fact that I have a bachelor's degree in business means nothing. But I have been working in business management, business strategy, sales, marketing for 15, 16 years now. So I think that helps in founding a company and running a company. Second thing would be high tolerance for risk. I mean, we risked everything that we had. We laid it all on the line, walked away from a pretty high paying position with my last company, and said, "All right, we have this nest egg. We're willing to dump it all into our business and see what we can do." So high tolerance for risk. Um, the third thing was my network of people that I know, and I've spent a lot of time and energy building relationships with guys like you and Jason Paris and Matt and Maggie Kuiper, and all these people, all these Corey Leister, all these kind of titans of industry who are helping me along the way. Good people help good people, and so I try to be a good people. But I would say the fourth thing for me is the most important is my wife and the support system that she is. Now uh, she stays at home with our kids. She also runs our insurance agency on the side as part time, but her primary responsibility for the past 3 years has been staying home, raising our kids, which is so important and she's so good at. Well, she decided she was willing to come out of retirement to actually work with me. So she's my project coordinator. But even if she hadn't done that, the fact that she would be on board with me risking even more of our finances to hire someone to do the work that she's doing right now, right? So I don't know. I mean, I have a unique combination. Not everyone has those four things, um, and so I'm very very blessed and fortunate. No, I'd say I'm working hard and making a lot of things happen rather than them just coming to me. But I did mention to someone last night that I think a year from now, Tanner, uh, you and I could write a step by step blueprint for someone with a specific skill set, you know, a business strategic mindset, and a high tolerance for risk to start $1 million painting company
Oh,
and have
absolutely.
it hit $1 million in your first year. I'm proving that it can be. I think I'm going to prove that it can be done.
Oh, I have no doubt. I think that,
Hmm.
you said a lot of good things. You have a very strong why. You put it all on the line. There was no going back. So there was no
Hmm.
mental debate, right? You quit your job, man. You quit something that you were making a good living. You were comfortable. I think
Hmm.
every time put a picture of like, where's your job site? You're like, oh, I'm in the gym every day at like 10
Yeah.
o'clock. My days.
I haven't been to the gym so much lately.
I
It's
figured,
hurting,
I
hurting
figured.
my
But
head.
hey, bro, but you're in it. You're in the grind, so you're willing to grind. You have a strong
Hmm.
why, and that's so important. And
Yeah.
one thing that I like, you say you have a high risk tolerance. I just say that you take action when action calls, right? And it's like, I sit on this thing, dude, multiple hours a week, giving advice on taking action, getting marketing together, putting together a production team. And there's just some sort of hesitation. I think you just have a strong belief system. I think confidence plays a huge, huge deal in this whole thing. Is like, I can do this.
Hmm.
I think what you said about having a good network around you of people that you trust that have done it and they say, hey, Brad, try this way. It worked for me. Hey, Brad, try this way. It worked for me. Hey, Brad,
Hmm.
try this way. It worked for me. And I don't think it's just a one way street. I think you provide value as well. I think you being so inquisitive makes people check their own processes. Like maybe I
Hmm.
don't know, you know what I'm saying? So it's a two-way street, but all that stuff is good. And I think if you have a strong why, you have a good network of people, and it could be our painting group. I mean, there could be, if you were bold enough to get on that painting group and just start sharing your journey, like, hey guys, you know what? I'm tired of where I'm at. I want to start something new. I'm ready to hire subcontractors. Would anyone be willing to give me advice? And you block out all the noise of all the people who wish they could have the courage to do that. I guarantee you that the heavy hitters, Nick, you, Jason, all the guys that are on their way to success would be more than happy to give you any advice that you ever could even imagine. But the thing is, don't come back for more advice unless you took the advice.
Right.
But here's the thing, though. I think that helps you too, because it's the same with anyone. No one wants to hear from someone again after they gave you advice to do something you didn't do it. So I think
Hmm.
you also have that little pull from your network of people. It's like, oh, okay, all right, cool, yeah. Now that you hit this, let's do the next thing, and then you're building that momentum. All that
Yeah.
stuff comes together, man. It's extremely valuable for a lot of people. You see the comments, man. People are very, very excited about all the stuff you're sharing. So,
Yeah.
part 3 coming up in about 2-3 months, man. I'd love to continue this journey until you hit a
Dude,
million.
yeah, let's
Um,
do it. I'm happy to get on every 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever
yeah,
you want,
yeah,
and
it's cool.
let's document it,
Yeah,
and
document the
hopefully,
journey, man.
a year from now, people can follow this
Go
and
back and listen
step by
to
step
Brad's
process.
first podcast episode with me when he was a salesperson for his other company. Then listen to the one that he did a couple weeks ago where it was just, him starting out, just getting all the marketing up. You've heard this one now, and then, follow the journey. I mean, just, don't be scared.
Yeah,
Love it.
go do it.
Thank you, brother, for your time. As always, wait, we got one more
Appreciate you.
comment here. We'll make sure it's good. Here we go. This has been amazing. Thank you guys so much. You're welcome. All right, man. Hey, thanks so much for listening to Brad's story on the Contractor Seekers podcast. Hey, listen, I'm looking for people to join me on the business breakthrough. That's right. I want you to join me. This is what I love to do. Hopefully by now you trust that it is a enriching experience. Not only that, it's going to force you to grow a little bit. It's going to give you a little bit of a perspective. So if you're interested in joining me on a business breakthrough, please reach out. Find me on Instagram. Find some way to contact me. Become a Dripjobs user, because chances are I'll reach out to you. In any case, reach out to me. I want to do a business breakthrough with you. It's a 40 to 45-minute session. Some people don't know, but it is 100% free. There's no charge. There's no upsell at the end, nothing. I get on, we do our thing, and then you go about your business, hopefully with a new perspective. So just reaching out to those of you listening that may be on the fence about it, may have some questions about business. It's what I love to do. So I'm happy to help in any way I possibly can. So find a way to reach me and we'll do a business breakthrough.